Well, hey there, and welcome to another After Hours chat. And for this episode, we have another very awesome creative that I met at the Horror Hotel. Just call these next few my Horror Hotel series on this podcast because I just met so many awesome people there. And I just had to have them on. I did do a brief interview with a couple of them for the YouTube channel while at the festival, but there were so many of them that I wanted to have on for a more in-depth chat. And we had on the lovely, very talented ladies of the film Legato, director Christine Jensen and screenwriter Anna Perez. And we just had John Ward on. And this week, we have on Nathan D. Ludwig, who is another author and screenwriter in the horror genre, or at least that's what it seemed. That's what we discussed while at Horror Hotel. So yeah, Nathan, I would, love for you to introduce yourself to anyone who might be brand new to your work.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. Yeah, my name's Nathan, and I am a kind of a filmmaker, author. I run a film fest. I run a small press, so I'm kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to like indie, entertainment, books, movies, all that kind of stuff, screenwriting, all that stuff. So I kind of do a little bit of all of it. So that's the long and short of it. So yeah, I'm having fun doing all of it and keeping busy.
Yeah, and you've released quite a few books. Would you care to list some of your bibliography for us?
Sure, I have a couple like standalone novels out. One of them is called Love Potion 666, which is kind of like a grindhousey kind of tribute to 90s action crime films. So if you like From Dusk Till Dawn, Natural Born Killers, like The Serpent and the Rainbow, True Romance, Pulp Fiction, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like in the spirit of those movies. In one kind of fast-paced road revenge movie about a rivalry between a mother and a daughter. It involves, guns and sex and voodoo and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's
All
a
the
lot of
good
fun.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
then my latest novel is called The Resurrection Girl, and it's still a little pulpy like Love Potion, but also it's a little bit more serious. It takes place in the 80s, and it's about an FBI special agent who can resurrect the dead by touching them. And the FBI is kind of exploiting her as almost like an indentured servant to raise dead criminals in like hostage standoffs and like murder suicides to bring them back from the dead to force them to stand trial. So they can look good in the press and their numbers can look good, but the innocent victims are not brought back. And
Right.
she's not allowed to do that. She's not allowed to do any good for them. And she's been obsessed with these pair of like cannibal serial killers called the Butcher Brothers. And she finds an opportunity to kind of track them down as they're searching for like the Wendigo and the secret to immortality. And it just becomes this race against the clock to see who can reach their goal first. And she's going to try to like stop them to like she's traumatized from her job, and she's trying to like do some good for the world. So that was a lot of fun to do. It's like kind of like a creature feature crossed with like a crime drama, like horror thriller. So,
So cool.
yeah, that one seems to be doing well, getting a lot of really good reviews. And I have a bunch of collections too. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but like I've
Yeah.
got some short horror, and like The Cannibal we're going to talk about is like a trilogy of novelettes I worked with a couple other authors on. So I do a lot of other collaborations too.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing because I'm getting back to I've been getting back to doing book reviews on my podcast channel because I go through, I've said before, I go through spurts where I'll do a bunch of book reviews and take a little break because sometimes things get busy and you don't always have time to read a bunch of stuff, even though you'd love to. And I don't want to like promise a review if I'm in like a space where I can't really, deliver it. But I am going to be reviewing Consume, which you wrote with Paul Grammatico, who's going to be a guest on a future episode, and also Chad Farmer, who I've not met yet. However, I'm sure he's awesome since you guys all got together and seemed to write this really, really interesting and unique looking book called Consume. So what can you tell us about Consume?
Oh yeah, Paul Grammatico's more of a recent friend of ours. Chad Farmer is my original partner in crime. He's my
Okay.
bestie. He couldn't make it to Horror Hotel, but he's usually there. So he'll be there next
Oh,
year, but
nice.
couldn't
Yeah.
make it this year. But yeah, we write a lot of stuff together.
Mhm.
We have a couple other books that we've written together, like
Mhm.
double feature novellas and stuff. And we met Paul recently a couple years ago, and he's become part of our weird little inner circle. And we wrote three kind of novelettes. So like if you don't know what a novelette is, it's like a short novella, like 10 to 15,000 words.
Yeah.
So each one of those is a novelette about, and the theme is cannibalism, and it's everything from weird foodie cruises to I don't know what the language is like on this channel. I don't want to go crazy, but like uh Meat Eaters Anonymous gone horribly wrong. We'll put in a little like the name of his short is called But I'm Hungry, but it's BUTT, But I'm Hungry. So you can probably figure out where it goes from there. And mine's a little weird and dystopian, kind of like what would happen if the government legalized cannibalism, kind of thing. A
Oh,
little bit of Tender as the Flesh or something like that. So
interesting.
yeah, it's a good mix of weird, funny, and gross. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, wow. Well, it definitely sounds like an interesting read. And like, who would you recommend the book for?
I would recommend the book for people who like eclectic horror.
Hmm.
The first one is mine. It's weird and dystopian. Paul's middle one is kind of gross, but it's doable. You can get through it.
Hmm.
Chad's is that's where I would have to give a ratings warning if you are
Okay, yeah,
that is extreme horror, and so that can be a hard stop for some people. That
yeah.
one goes a little over the line. So it gradually increases in as far as what people can handle, I think. But I mean, it's a lot of fun if you like cannibalism and you like kind of thinking outside the box when it comes to that theme. You
Yeah,
probably enjoy it a lot.
yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. And you've also you're a screenwriter as well. So,
Mhm.
and you won an award too at the Horror Hotel Festival. So, yeah,
Yeah.
tell us a little about your work in screenwriting and film.
Yeah, well, thanks for mentioning it. Yeah, I won third place
Yay.
horror comedy short screenplay for
Nice.
Apologize, which is doing well.
Woo.
Yeah, so I write a lot of short screenplays. It's been a while since I've written a feature. I'm actually working on a new one, but yeah, I like to have a couple out in competitions. Right, I just got into Horror Hound Film Festival with two short screenplays. Just found out today, so that was exciting. So yeah, I write a lot of horror comedy, whether it's books or screenplays. I That's how I started writing, like trying to make something of it. In my
Yeah.
early 20s was trying to be a screenwriter. I was obsessed with that, but that's a
Mhm.
hard nut to crack. It really is. So,
Yeah.
I've had some of my stuff made into independent films, but nothing like, Hollywood or anything like that. But I'm still working
Mhm.
on trying to get there. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what of your works have been made into films?
So I got this feature coming out called Dead Format, which is directed by a gentleman named Mike Lombardo, who's a super cool dude, one of our friends, and I co-wrote that screenplay with him. And it is a really cool kind of grief
Hmm.
horror film about a kid who lost his dad. He's in his early 20s, and
Yeah.
it's kind of takes place in the early 2000s, and it's kind of like that transition from VHS to like DVD, kind of like video stores were closing down, that kind of stuff. So he's
Hmm.
kind of obsessed with kind of archiving movies, and he's kind of stuck in the world of VHS, kind of mourning his dad. And from that, this kind of cursed videotape horror film kind of goes from there. So it
Yeah.
starts off very sad and forlorn. And it gets really gory at the end. So that's actually just finished shooting. So we're very excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when will that is there a like a prospective date on when that will be out?
So we're hoping to have it in film festivals pretty much all next year. So it should be done by the end of this year, and we'll be submitting to festivals next year.
Oh, very cool. Maybe it'll be at Horror Hotel, you think?
I
Or
hope so. I hope it's at all the cool places. Yes,
the
absolutely.
cool, yeah, where all the cool people are at. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what inspires your work? What have like, is there any particular writers, screenwriters, filmmakers, that has inspired your work over the years?
I mean, as far as, yeah, people that inspire me, as far as creatives, like I love John Carpenter. He's probably my favorite director, filmmaker. I love all his stuff, you know, whether it's funny or serious. So, and I kind of skirt the line between both funny and serious in my stuff. So, you know, I like
Mhm.
Sam Raimi, I like John Carpenter. Those are probably my favorites. As far as like any kind of writers, like I don't know if you're familiar with David Wong. He's also known as Jason Pargan. He wrote like John Dies at the End, and
Oh, okay.
those books like really funny, like horror, sci-fi, comedy stuff. So I kind of like
Okay.
that kind of mix.
Hmm. Oh, nice. Very cool. And when did you start writing, and when did you know that this was what you wanted to do, that this is what your passion was and where your talents were? Um, how long, like, when did that all start?
Oh yeah, I've always kind of been telling stories. I like used to write little short stories, you know, ever since probably like middle school, I'd say.
Mhm.
Writing like little short screenplays too, kind of getting the feel for it. I've always loved movies. Before there was IMDb and the internet, I would have little notebooks of like who was in what movie, and I would have like their own filmography and everything.
Yeah.
So,
So
and
you
like I
kept your
would,
own little
yeah,
filmography log.
yeah, I would like tune into like Siskel and Ebert in the 90s and find, you know, look in the TV guide, and you know, I was just obsessed with movies. Like I love it. I love the minutia of it, like to like an OCD level. So I've always just been into movies, and that went into screenwriting, and then I realized I could turn my screenplays into books if I wanted to. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where it evolved from.
Yeah. Oh, wow, cool. And as far as, because I bought because I ended up getting one of your books that were an anthology, and it was one of your paranormal experiences that
Hmm.
happened to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, so can you talk a little about that? Like, have you had any paranormal experiences that maybe influenced pieces of your work, or anything that happened and you were just like, okay, holy crap, what was that?
Well, I mean, I've never been a huge believer of the paranormal. I'm open to it, but I've never been easily swayed by it. But I did
Yeah.
have, you know, in the book that you got there, I did have an experience when I was in Korea. I used to be in the army way a long time ago, another life.
Yeah.
And when I lived there, I had an experience that I still to this day can't explain.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I'm going to chalk it up to I just can't explain it. I'm not going to try to. If I think about it, it creeps me out. But I love writing horror and scary, creepy stuff that has like that atmosphere to it, like
Yeah.
that feeling of dread, and like it's not necessarily always explained. So kind of like maybe like a lot like Asian horror, like that really creepy kind of dream logic stuff. That's that, you know, that experience inspired me a lot to write a lot like that. So.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if you've read the story or not, but it's like it was absolutely something that I can't explain, and I'm glad I didn't fully see what it was. I know, you know how you see something out of the corner of your eye, you know something is there, you're not
Oh, yeah.
hallucinating. So I'm glad I didn't fully see what it was because I don't want to know what it was. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It still creeps me out to this day.
Oh gosh, yeah. And what was like, do you have like a favorite paranormal horror film?
You know what? Actually, I'm a huge fan of found footage horror movies. I love the genre.
Yeah.
Even the stuff that's not great, I'm super into it. I love it. I just like the vibe. I like the atmosphere. So I love stuff like Paranormal Activity, The Blair Witch Project,
Mhm.
anything like that. Like super. I know a lot of people are not into it and they don't find it scary, but I don't know. I'm just tuned into it. I love that kind of stuff, especially like Asian found footage horror. It's so
Okay.
scary to me. I love it.
Yeah, I really like found footage. I
Hmm.
Just, to me, there's just something about the whole prospect of finding a camera or a phone and witnessing. Okay, first you're witnessing people just going on like a road trip and having a good time, and then all of a sudden they're starting to slowly have all these weird things happening, and then it's at the very end where it suddenly cuts off and maybe you see a little bit of something, but you
Hmm.
don't quite know what it is. Yeah, I like found footage. What's your favorite found footage film?
Oh gosh, there is one. There's a Korean one. It's called Gonjiam, spelled
Okay.
Gongiam, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. That
Okay.
movie is I had to stop it one time because it was freaking me out so
Oh
bad.
my gosh.
It
Wow.
starts off a little slow. It kind of builds the characters, but once it gets to like the halfway mark, and it just never lets up for the rest of the film. And it was super stressful to watch. So I
Gosh.
recommend that one. It's called Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. If you can get a chance to watch that, it was super scary.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. I haven't seen that one, but yeah, it sounds, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, convinced me to look that one. Oh, absolutely. And so what was was there a horror movie that really scared you as a kid?
As far as something that affected me, like I would say, um, when I grew up, I was super into movies, but I wasn't really into horror right away.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my favorite genre of film is action. I love action adventure. I still love horror. It's not anything I discount, but the first time I watched a really scary rated R horror film was Candyman, and it was
Oh,
probably, and I wasn't that young. I was probably, I don't know, 13, 12, 13. So I wasn't that young, but
right.
I don't think I was old enough. I was prepared for that kind of level of horror.
Mm-hmm.
That one freaked me out pretty bad, especially the beginning of that movie when they're counting Candyman in the mirror.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. It freaks me out. So that's a
Mhm.
classic horror film. I love it, the horror film, but I love that
Yeah.
horror film. But when I first saw it, it really bothered me, and I was like, I don't know if horror is the right genre for me. But I grew into it. I grew into it a lot
Yeah.
later on.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. What was the horror film? Was there like a horror film or anything that made you be like, okay, yeah, maybe I can get into the horror genre?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I would say probably like and I watched these later on. I didn't watch them when they came out, obviously, but like Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
That's my favorite trilogy of horror movies, probably. Especially I probably when I rented Army of Darkness and I watched that
Yeah.
first because I hadn't seen the first two Evil Dead movies, and I was like,
Right.
wow, this is so much fun. And then I watched Evil Dead 2, which is a masterpiece, and that's probably my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite horror movie is probably Evil Dead 2. So yeah, that one was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
It's funny but scary at the same time. I love that kind of stuff.
Hmm. And since you're a writer and a very creative mind, I was just wondering, is there anything that maybe you would like to see more of in the horror genre, or even any of its, sister genres like horror comedy, anything like that? But is there anything that maybe you would like to, see more of within that film genre?
Yeah, absolutely. I think about films and books. I would love to see more horror westerns,
Okay.
and I
Yeah.
would love to see more deep space horror.
Interesting.
So like kind of like Event Horizon, that kind of stuff. I would love to see more deep space horror. I feel like there's not enough, and definitely Western horror. When that's done right, it's so much fun.
Yeah, I got one of Paul's books that I'm going to be reviewing was a is like a Western, kind of like a paranormal
Yes.
Western book. And when he showed it to me, I was like, oh, this is interesting, is because it's different from what I would normally read. I mean, like I've read like Stephen King's like the Dark Tower series, like the Gunslinger and all
Mhm.
of those, but I haven't really gotten into Western, like actual Western
Yeah.
horror. But it it intrigued me enough to where I was just like, okay, I mean, yeah, why not? Check it out. Check out something that's maybe a little bit different from what
Mhm.
I would normally read.
Yeah.
And because his Gothic horror book, because I immediately like looked at that. I was like, okay, this is up my alley because Gothic horror is up my alley. But
Mhm.
then he showed me his it's his like science gone wrong, his like, it's like a giant insect book, like his
Yeah.
science gone wrong, and then his western, his supernatural western. And I was
Mhm.
just like, yeah, you know what, I'll give those I'll give those a chance and review them. And
Yes.
because like I said, it there's nothing wrong with trying something that maybe you haven't really read before, because like I said, other than Gunslinger, I can't really say I've gotten much
Yeah.
into Western horror. But it definitely intrigues me, because when you think of Westerns, you think of like Out on the Range and
Mhm.
some of those old Western movies. But it really, but it can't. But when you really think about it, the Old West is kind of creepy in its own right.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, like you go out west, there's because see, we live in like this tri-state area, Ohio. I live in Pennsylvania, where there's a lot of woods and a lot
Hmm.
of trees, and of course we have our cryptids here and all of that. But when you go out west, it's like a completely different world out there, and especially those like the ghost towns, the western ghost towns where everybody just disappeared. Have you ever been to any of those places?
I hear of a lot of urban legends, but I know a lot of friends who kind of live in the areas there in that tri-state area. But no, I never seeked out any urban legends. I like to stay at home where it's safe. So
Where
no,
it's
yeah.
safe.
Never done any paranormal investigations. I've never searched out any urban legends, but I like reading about them. That's what I like to do is read books about them.
You like to read them in the safety of your own home, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, but like getting back to the whole Western thing, I actually, because at first it just kind of does, it's kind of like, oh, can those two go together? But then when you think about just all the history of the West and all that happened out there, and it, like I said, just all the ghost towns, and it's
Oh yeah.
actually, it has a very kind of dark and creepy history. It's not
Yes.
like, hi ho silver all the time.
Nope.
It's very dark, kind of like a creepy history. Are there any urban legends or tales of the old west or anything that maybe you would like to write about, or anything that you think is just so creepy that it freaks you out?
As far as like a Western horror, I had a couple ideas for some novels, but they were more like kind of like almost like horror action adventure, kind of supernatural thrillers, kind of. I do think the idea of ghost towns are super creepy. I would like
Yeah.
to maybe check those out sometime if I ever get out that way. I actually used to live in Arizona. After I lived in Korea, I lived in Arizona for a couple of
Mhm.
years and probably down south, probably an hour south of Tucson. It was close to like Bisbee, a couple other mining towns down there. So I have been to Tombstone. It's very touristy, so it's not
Yeah.
really creepy. But I didn't get a chance to go to any like actual ghost towns, but I would love to check those out.
Mhm.
They are very creepy. So
Yeah.
I bet doing like a paranormal investigation of one of those would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And have you ever been on a paranormal investigation, or is that something that's like on your bucket list, or?
I've never been on one, but I would love to check one out. Absolutely, that would be pretty
Mhm.
interesting. I never
Yeah.
had the opportunity to do so. So.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is there like an old Western legend that intrigues you most of all, that intrigues you more than others?
Maybe, I mean, not anything in particular, just kind of the history in general and exploring, kind of old ghost towns.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing in particular as far as the West goes. I like to kind of make up my own stuff.
Hmm. Oh, cool. Very, very cool. So, and is there anything that you're currently working on right now?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple things. I've got a collaboration with, I don't know if you remember RJ, who is at the table
Oh,
with
yeah.
me.
Hmm.
Yeah, so me and RJ and another guy that we know, Caleb, we're working on kind of like the Cannibal one. It's a collaboration, three authors, but this one is one story. It's three parts. So part
Hmm.
one of us writes part two, then part three, a different author for each one, and it's called Suck. And it's about human-sized mosquitoes that are feeding on people, like in up in
Oh.
the mountains. So it's
Hmm.
kind of a slasher, but instead of like a slasher human, it's a giant mosquito sucking
Yeah.
people's brains out. So it's definitely a horror comedy, obviously. So
Mhm.
that's fun. We're writing that right now. And I've
Yeah.
got another novel I'm working on called Method Hack. It's a solo novel of mine. Hopefully get that out by the end of this year. And it's kind of like a cosmic horror mixed with like showbiz satire. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like a Hollywood, meets, the old gods kind of horror, you know.
Nice.
So that's I'm hoping to get that. It's super weird, and I'm hoping people dig that one. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Awesome. And are you appearing at like any conventions or traveling anywhere as of late?
Well, I'm always going to Horror Hotel. I've already got my
Nice.
plans booked for next year for Horror
Oh
Hotel. So I
yeah.
can't
Me
wait for
too.
that. But yeah, I actually run a film festival called Genre Blast Film Festival.
Okay.
It is in Winchester, Virginia, every year on Labor Day weekend. So it's September 3rd to 6th this year at the
Hmm.
Alamo Drafthouse Cinema in Winchester, Virginia. So it's right in the hump of Virginia, in between West Virginia and DC, for those who don't know where it's at. But
Hmm.
yeah, we do a film festival all weekend. We have tables in the lobby where people sell stuff. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of good time. Sell my own books there too. But other than that, I just try to find, where I can scooch in and get some table space. I just went to a convention in New Jersey a couple weeks ago called Beers and Fears, which was super cool. It was at like
Nice.
Viking Brewery, and they just had tables set up for books and did great. I did great business. That was so much fun. So I like going to kind of smaller events like that. They're a lot of fun.
So you prefer like the smaller events to the larger ones?
Yeah, yeah. The ones that are kind of focused on like maybe like a dozen authors at the most. Because I've
Hmm.
been to a lot of book conventions where there's like 100, 150 authors, and
Yeah.
it's just not enough people to buy everybody's books. It's just
Right.
kind of get lost in the shuffle. So something a little bit more intimate is beneficial for all the authors, I think.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people have experienced actually doing better at some of the smaller shows than
Hmm.
at the larger ones. I mean, yeah, it's cool to get booked at the larger ones, but there's always that chance that yeah, you're going to get lost in the shuffle just because there's so much to see at the larger events. Whereas, and I feel like at smaller events, you get more of an opportunity to like really talk to people and talk to the people coming to your table and answer their questions and really make that connection with them. What
Yes,
are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with that. Yeah, you have a lot more time to talk to your readers, your potential readers, and you get a lot more business at a smaller event. So if you get booked and you're with, 5, 10, 15 authors as opposed to 100 authors, your chances of selling books are better and you get recognized more as far as like you get your name out there. And it's all about networking too. I've been to
Yeah.
a couple of conventions where I didn't sell anything. This is a couple of years ago, but like
Mhm.
I still give out my business card, bookmarks.
Mhm.
I plug my website. That way people know, at least know, maybe they'll buy it later. So,
Yeah.
it's, slowly getting that recognition every time I make an appearance is important. So you just
Oh
have to.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing though too. It's always worth it even if all you do is hand out like your business cards and
Mhm.
or do some networking. And I mean, to be honest, when I went to Horror Hotel, my I was like, hey, you know what, I'm here to network, to get some content, and if I sell stuff, that's an added bonus. And I ended up actually sold a lot. I was actually
Great.
kind of surprised because that was a new place for me.
Mhm.
So I was pleasantly surprised. So when they asked me, oh, like when the organizers asked me, oh, how did you? I was like, I did well. For a newcomer here, I did well, and it was and it ended up being a great time. And they're like, oh, would you be interested in coming back? I'm like, absolutely, yeah. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I had a lot of fun there, and and I got to meet all kinds of cool people, and a lot of them are going to be on the podcast. And it's always, and that's the thing, I always just love meeting people, meeting other filmmakers, seeing new films, and that's also what it's about too, is just kind of growing in that sense, where you maybe see a movie that might be a little bit okay, yeah, that might not be a movie I would have thought to go see, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I think, and that's what's so great about these events. And have you had like an experience at an event that really stood out to you in a positive way?
Yeah, I love going to Horror Hotel. I've been going since, off and on since 2015. I think I've only missed a couple years, and every year I go there, I watch at least one film where I will try to program it for my own film festival, or I'll reach out to the filmmakers and be like, "Hey, that was really good. Like, thanks for
Yeah.
screening it." So, Yeah, I always have that experience. Anytime I love going to film festivals and discovering new stuff, like you said, like you wouldn't normally see anywhere else. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're still not available anywhere. So the only way you can see them sometimes is at these film festivals, which
Yeah.
is cool, but also kind of sad because you kind of want them to get more distribution and everything. But
Mhm.
yeah, film festivals are my favorite places to go to catch, hidden gems and that kind of stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said, and you can meet all kinds of cool artists and artisans and authors and musicians and all, all just the whole atmosphere and just the people. Is what I mean. I enjoy about
Mhm.
events like that. So, but but what have you ever had like a weird experience or anything at an event?
A weird experience. Hmm.
Yeah, just kind of like I like just something where something paranormal or something maybe that just kind of I don't know where you were just kind of like, "Oh, okay, that was a little weird, but all right, moving on."
I don't know about any film festivals. I know I've been on a couple movie sets where we've been in some creepy places, especially if
Mhm.
you rent out Airbnbs, you get you never know what you're getting until you get there. And I know
Yeah.
we shot a short film in Staten Island, New York one time, and this house that we rented out was the
Yeah.
creepiest house I've ever been to. And I had to sleep up in the attic and
Ooh.
like the top floor that had some beds, but it had like this weird door in the back corner that was padlocked, and
Oh.
it was the creepiest thing. And I had to sleep up there by myself, and
Oh wow.
I kept waking up thinking that there was somebody at the door, like trying to get out of the door or anything.
Oh my
So
gosh.
freaking me out. So that was pretty creepy overall. Yeah, it was a weird one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I asked that because at the hotel where Horror Hotel was, I thought that that was the perfect area and place to have it because where it is, it does kind of have this like kind of dark, creepy,
Hmm.
just it's a perfect place for a horror film festival. And there were
Hmm.
some areas where I've told people, I'm like, this is giving kind of Overlook vibes.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah,
just like, I wonder what happens in here, like after all the lights go off, and
yeah.
if there's any activity or anything like that. So
Well,
yeah,
they said the elevators weren't working, so I wonder if that was the ghosts.
ooh,
So
I don't know. I don't know. Oh goodness. But um but yeah, but what else do you have going on? Because I know you said you're working on a few new books, a few new screenplays, and that you're doing some shows. What do you have coming up in the immediate future?
So yeah, I've got the those two books that I'm working on. I'm actually working on final decisions for Genre Blast Film Festival this week, so that's kind of taking my all my time up this week for films and scripts, picking who's going to be playing and whose screenplays will be picked for this festival coming up. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, in post production for a movie. I just started a movie this past weekend. I drove up to Sleepy Hollow, New York. Um, yeah, so we did a kind of I was shooting a movie for a friend. I acted in kind of a weird, kind of quirky, kind of midnight cult movie.
Oh,
So very kind of like John Waters. So that was fun to be in. But yeah, we were right in Sleepy Hollow. So he drove me by the cemetery and all that stuff. It was super cool to see all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that's really I love little historical towns like that.
Hmm.
That's just one area I love to visit is Gettysburg.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, if you want to visit a place that has a lot of activity and but also really, really has preserved, like worked hard to preserve its history and just kind of keep everything, or at least most of it, as it was
Hmm.
back then, it really is like it's like a lot of the buildings and things there that have been frozen in time.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
We actually, my wife and I, we went on a Gettysburg tour last year because I was going there for a book convention at
Oh,
Gettysburg
okay.
College.
Hmm.
So we actually did the tour. Yeah, you can absolutely feel that energy there. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Gettysburg has both residual energy as well as the the energies and like the souls of people that might not have crossed over
Hmm.
after passing, especially since a lot, there is a lot of trauma that happened there. And yeah, and I've been to Gettysburg a couple of times, and I've visited the Farnsworth Inn, which is said to be one of the most haunted inns there.
Hmm.
It was a
Yeah.
field house, so you can imagine all of the just the stuff that went on in there. And of course, there's like the Jenny Wade house, where and in a lot of the buildings they still have the bullets and the bullet holes within
Oh,
the walls,
yeah.
and it's crazy. And and that's the thing. It's like because I know, like, when I was looking at some of like the bullet holes that are still in the walls with the bullets still lodged in,
Hmm.
some of them, it's just like somebody from well over 100 years ago
Hmm.
shot that into that wall. Like
Yeah, it's still
that's like
there. Yeah.
that's just, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. And was there any other historic towns that you've visited that had a bit of an impact on you?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Virginia, so when I was in school, we always used to joke that, we went to field trips more than we went to class because there's so much historical stuff here. We would always go on field trips to like
Mm,
Jamestown, Williamsburg,
yeah.
Yorktown, Mount Vernon, all over the place, Monticello. But I'd say the creepiest one I've ever been to is Jamestown. That was by far, there's something about that place, especially at night. I don't know if it's haunted, but it definitely feels like it is. Like there is definitely a vibe there.
Yeah.
And they just excavated an old church there too, and a bunch of other locations. So there's a lot of ruins there.
Yeah.
You're talking like 1600s. So like
Yeah.
there's definitely a vibe there of creepiness, especially if you're there at dusk. It's a really weird feeling. So if you've never been to Jamestown, just for the history aspect, but also to check out just kind of the potential creep factor, Jamestown's a pretty good one.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's because it's one of like the oldest and first settled,
Hmm.
places
Yeah.
in the colonies. So, and there's a lot that happened with that too, with
Yeah.
the skirmishes and just all of the, yeah. So yeah, I know, definitely Williamsburg has its ghosts.
Yes.
So yeah, but Jamestown, because that might be one where people may not think that, oh yeah, go there for the creep factor, but yeah, but that, sometimes it's the places you least expect to have the creep
Hmm.
factor that end up being the creepiest. So
Yes, for sure.
yeah, are there any that you would like to visit but haven't yet?
I would actually love to check out like Roanoke Island. I'd love to check
Okay.
out there. That's actually not too far, only a couple hours from where I live, so I'd love to
Mhm.
check that out. Um, as far as like anything else, like I don't know. I mean, I used to live in Richmond and they used to have the Poe. I mean, they still do. It's called the Edgar Allan Poe Museum.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
that was really cool. They used to do a lot of ghost tours around that area too. So if you've never been to Richmond, definitely check it out. They got a lot of haunted history in Richmond.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
a lot of
wow.
fun. But I love history in general. I'd love to go to
Me too.
like I'd go to Europe and check out like all the castles and all that kind of stuff. That would be great. Like after dark, that kind of stuff. I'm sure there'd be a lot of creepy stuff going on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, but it's really fascinating just seeing all the different things that are just out there in the world, and
Yes.
especially, in all the different places, because
Mhm.
here in Pennsylvania we have our stuff, and Virginia you guys have your stuff, and out west they have their stuff.
Yeah.
And I think just experiencing it all, you can really just completely just
Hmm.
enrich your life just by
Yes.
experiencing just different things in different
Hmm.
states. So yeah, absolutely. So do you think you'd ever want to like write like a historical ghost novel or screenplay?
Yeah, I would love to do that. I'm a little lazy when it comes to doing research, so I'd have to do
Mhm.
my work as far as that. But I would love to do like an Old West or something even that took place in like medieval Europe or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That's would be very cool and like add a horror element to it. Yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah, I'm actually working on a music project right now that's inspired by the Wars of the Roses of medieval England.
Ooh, very cool.
It takes place from the like during the Wars of the Roses, like the songs during the Wars of the Roses up until kind of through the reign of King Henry VIII.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Nice.
I've been working on that, and yeah, the songs are coming together nicely. So I've performed a couple of them live, the ones that are ready to be performed live, because some are,
Right.
like it's like the songs are done, but they're not quite live material ready yet, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. But
That sounds fascinating.
yeah, thank you. But yeah, but I've been working on that, and that's another very fascinating time in history, and definitely, especially when we get into Henry VIII and his split from the Church of England. I mean, that was definitely a very a split from like the Catholic Church and starting the Church of England. That's what I meant to say. This is what happens when you do multiple interviews in one night. But yeah, but that was another very pivotal time in history, because it
Yeah.
really it because I often wonder like what might have happened if the Wars of the Roses might have ended differently, if
Hmm.
the Yorks had won,
Yes.
and Henry VII did not become Henry VII, if Richard III stayed on the throne. And how different would that be? I mean, we might be looking at a completely different royal family right now.
It's like alternate history. That's so cool
Yeah,
to think about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think about that kind of stuff all the time. Just yeah, like how different would that part of history had turned out. And
Hmm.
like I said, I mean, we would probably be looking at a completely different royal family.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really trippy when you think about it. So, yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
I hope you finish it. I hope because I would love to see that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely planning on finishing it. So, yeah, definitely working my way down and getting kind of upgrading my music, my home studio,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, so just been updating that, and while I work on the songs, and yeah, it's been coming along. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So, where can people find you and your work?
Oh yeah. So I'm on social media. I'm on most platforms. I don't do X, but I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. You can find me at Nathan D. Ludwig anywhere. Just search that and I'll pop up. And also Genre Blast. That's all one word, Genre Blast.
Yeah.
Books and movies and the film festival. We're on social media too. So two different accounts you can find me on.
Nice. And you said that the Genre Blast Festival is on Labor Day weekend.
Yes, it's on Labor Day weekend at the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia, September 3rd to 6th. Come on out and have a great time. We watch movies all weekend. If you've never been to an Alamo Draft House, they serve food to your table while you're watching movies, beer and
Oh,
food and whatever you want to do. And it's a great time. It's like summer camp for movie creeps.
I love it. I love it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely check Nathan out, check his work out, and wait for my review on Consume. I definitely can't wait to read that. And yeah, definitely wait for my review on that. So,
Yes,
but
excited.
yeah, cool. So, well, thank you so much, Nathan, for coming on and for chatting with me a little bit more about your work. And yeah, it was definitely a very cool conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Tiffany. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And absolutely would love to have you on again once you release some of those new works that you talked about that you're working on. So, yeah.
Yes. And if not sooner, we'll see you at Horror Hotel again.
Yay. All right. So, Well, thank you again, Nathan, and thank you to everybody that's been tuning in and listening. And we drop a new episode every Friday, so be sure to tune in. Unless I state otherwise, there will always be a new episode on Fridays. And next week, we have the Haunted Housewives on. So stay tuned for that. And then we have Nathan's friend and colleague, Paul Grammatico, coming on. So a lot of really cool guests coming up. And thank you for tuning in. And thank you again, Nathan, for coming on. And wherever you are and whenever you are listening to this, day or night, as you go about your day or your evening, please stay safe, stay fierce, but always stay spooky.